Greenville 911, what's your emergency?
I need to talk to someone. There's a bag on my door and I got a threatening note on my car.
Okay, there's a bag on your door?
I don't know what's in it, and then I got this note off my car.
All right, I'm going to send an officer out.
Yes, ma'am.
April 7th started off as any normal day on day shift, and I heard the call go out. When I met Officer Odom, he had a bag in his hand. Officer Odom said, "Amber, you need to see this." And when he opened it up for me to see, I said, "Scott, are these toes?"
The bag contains a severed hand and a severed foot.
Up until that moment, I had never seen anything like this before, only in movies. I was just astounded by the gruesome nature of this.
Murder is a horrible crime, but there are some murders that display a level of evil and a level of depravity that are rarely seen, and this crime is one of those. I spent my career closing murder cases, but I'm not the only one who answered the call. It takes a rare breed to solve the unsolvable, to catch a ruthless killer, to find justice for the dead. That's what it takes to be an American detective.
My name is Collis Flavel, and I work with the Greenville City Police Department. I was in investigations for 19 years, and 16 of that was in homicide.
This is Flavel.
It was early morning, and I had just got to work when we got the call. An individual by the name of Sue Bostic noticed a black trash bag sitting outside her front door, and she found a note under her windshield on her car.
People understand what looks suspicious and which just doesn't look right, without anyone having to explain that to them. When she saw that bag on the porch, a garbage bag perfectly centered in front of her door, it immediately alarmed her. Somebody put it there. Whatever is in it is probably not good. Then when she sees a note on her car, it further alarms her, knowing that that note has got to relate to this bag. The note says, "Grace, this is your last warning. This is what happens if you don't follow instructions."
Okay, got it. I'm on my way.
Flavel has two things to answer at once. Who is this person that lost these body parts? And more importantly, who is Grace?
If there was a case to solve, if Collis Flavel was on it, it was gonna get solved.
When I arrived, two patrol officers, Officer Odom and Officer Drummond, were at a patrol car where they had this black bag on the back of the car.
Hey, Drummond. What are we looking at here?
You won't believe this.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
In my career, I've never had a case like this before or after.
Let's get forensics out here now.
When dispatch calls you and says, "We've got body parts in a trash bag," no doubt that was going to be one of those things that I personally wanted to respond to.
You said you got body parts?
The toes have been clipped clean off.
What?
What are we getting ourselves into here?
The hands and feet were brown skin, almost looked like it was surgically removed. It was very clean cuts. There wasn't a lot of blood in the bag. Obviously, it happened somewhere else.
You have evidence of extreme violence. Someone is hacking up a human body, forcefully removing the toes, cleaving a foot off at the ankle joint, cleaving a hand off at the wrist joint. For what purpose? To make a threat? Well, it's working. That's an awful threat.
Gosh, I remember my prayer was, I hoped the victim had died at this point. I hoped that they didn't feel pain.
Whoever lost their hand and their foot could not have survived that. You'd bleed out in less than 2 minutes. This is a homicide. The question becomes, of whom, and where is the rest of them?
Let's have a look at that note.
The note itself was bizarre. It was addressed to an individual by the name of Grace Davis, basically threatening Grace. We learned that Miss Bostic is Grace Davis's aunt.
The implied content of the note is, do what we demand or this will happen to you. In addition to that information, there is an email to respond to at the bottom of the page.
For us as investigators, thank you, because we can track that email address and at least start somewhere.
See if you can pull any prints off of this, and let's get a read on that email.
I'll let you know what we can find.
We had no clue what or who we were dealing with.
Detective?
Yeah.
Got a problem.
He's informed by radio that a second bag has been found at another house a mile away that also contains additional body parts. Holy smokes.
I never dreamed that we would get a call about other body parts. So now we went from one scene to two scenes.
My fear was that more bags would show up, and that as they did, the case would just become more inhumane over time.
We needed to get those body parts to the morgue because that was going to be key in trying to establish the identity of that person.
The woman who lives in the second home is Judon Burnside.
We learned that Judon Burnside is Grace Davis's mother.
So we have Judon Burnside, we have Sue Bostic. Now Flavel has to set about finding Essers. So Sue and Judon are interviewed together. Grace Davis is one woman's daughter and the other woman's niece.
Does she live with either one of you?
She used to, but things have changed, and now we just take care of the kids.
She's gotten into drugs, and her children were taken away from her. And she has drifted off into the streets. And they don't know where she is. They have no idea who would threaten her or why. They both assume it is some sort of drug debt or some sort of difficulty she has fallen into by living on the streets. But they don't know. They haven't seen her or talked to her for some time. They are independently raising her children in the hope that Grace will somehow straighten out her life and return to recover her children. That has not yet happened. So Flavel, once again, is faced with another mystery. Not only who Grace Davis is, but we don't know where she is. And we don't know how she could have acquired an enemy that is not only depraved, but is particularly evil. Who might that be? Flavel doesn't know. Whoever is responsible for this doesn't know where Grace is either, or he wouldn't be leaving these threats with relatives. He'd be going directly to Grace Davis.
Has anything happened in the last few days out of the ordinary?
Well, there was this phone call.
Miss Bostic told us she answered the phone and stated it sounds like somebody's gonna die.
Hello?
she got a phone call from a female voice who was screaming into the phone, and then the line went dead. She wonders if that's connected. Flavel wonders the same thing.
Do either one of you know anybody that would want to do Grace harm?
There is her ex.
Grace's ex-husband has been ordered to pay $400 a month in child support. And he was very unhappy about this. Money, sex, or revenge are common things in a murder case. And here we have money and revenge together.
So, of course, that kind of turns our attention. We needed to talk to Grace's ex-husband.
The ex-husband appears shocked, has no knowledge of any of this.
Mr. Davis, I need to know where you were on the morning of the 7th.
I was with my girlfriend.
He pretty much had an alibi for the time frame that we were looking at. He was in a new relationship, and his new girlfriend actually had taken him to work. We verified his work record, so we were able to clear him as a suspect.
It's just not the guy. It just isn't. It's a shame. It would make this case a lot simpler, but it's not simple. Murders never are.
This is Flavel. Okay, got it. I'll be right there.
It is very unusual to ask a coroner to examine body parts and not a body. It's happened in my career, but it's very rare.
Our medical examiner called us to review all the tissue samples. The body parts, they were not per se surgically removed, but they weren't hacked and whacked.
Whatever was used was very sharp. It made a clean cut right at the joint.
But we did get a hit on the prints.
They do determine the identity of the parts by fingerprint. It's a female, and her name was Nicole Harris. She's 34 years old.
I've never heard of Nicole Harris. So now we got to figure out why are your hands and feet in this bag?
Now the questions become, where was she last seen alive? What is her connection, if any, to Grace Davis? We have someone who is such an enemy of Miss Davis, he's willing to kill just to make a point. That's a serious enemy. So we know that now this person's name is Nicole Harris. Now Flavel has to set about finding where Nicole Harris was last seen alive. And he has to make a death notification to the family.
For you to give them that news is devastating. In a split second, their life is turned upside down.
He finds her mother and has to explain that he doesn't have her daughter's body. He only has parts of it.
So we learned that Nicole Harris was a 34-year-old mother, grew up in a normal family, a couple of towns away from Greenville.
Nicole was my baby sister. I kind of like raised her as my own. That was my heart. It was 7 of us, and Mika was the baby. We nicknamed her Mickey.
Her personality was sweet and loving. She was lovely as a mother. She had the heart of gold.
Where had she been living?
That's the thing. She was not making the best decisions.
Nicole Harris was somebody who had fallen on hard times because she had a drug habit. She would often find herself living on the streets or with random people.
Due to Nicole's substance abuse problem, she didn't have custody of her kids.
We used to, see each other on a regular basis. even though we were mostly with our grandmother.
Mrs. Harris says her daughter has fallen on hard times, but still, Nicole Harris was trying to change her ways, trying to move back into a normal life, to get off the streets and away from the drugs and back to where she began as a mother.
She was working towards getting her life together and coming home. I said, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." I said, "I know the kids will be happy."
Knowing that she was never able to rekindle that stable relationship with her children, I'm sure has continued to haunt the whole family.
That's where it hurts me so bad, because she was talking about coming home and being, the person that I wanted her to be.
And someone has decided to take her life. It's incredibly foul.
Was Nicole employed anywhere?
Nicole hung out at a labor finders, which is a day labor where jobs go out. They go out for the day.
So Flavel goes to labor finders to see who knows Nicole Harris. Some recognize the name, some seem to recall her, but no one seems to know her very well. So Flavel doesn't really learn very much.
Sometimes you pick the wrong rabbit hole. Yeah, so you go back and start on another one. Then we started looking for Grace.
This is Flavel.
The Davis family reports that they now know where Grace probably is staying.
We learned that she was living with a cousin out in the county.
Flavel is thrilled, but at least he's going to be able to finally speak to Grace Davis to find out perhaps what is going on in this mess.
Ma'am, I need to talk to you about a couple of incidents that happened at your mom and aunt's home.
What?
She had no clue that there was body parts left at these locations at her family's houses.
Can we go inside and talk for a few minutes?
Flavel wants to know how Grace Davis becomes somehow the focus of this murder case.
Body parts? And the letters were addressed to me?
That's correct.
There was a direct threat made against her. That's going to scare anyone half to death.
Are you familiar with anybody named Nicole Harris?
That was a big mystery. Grace is related to the people who found the body parts, but she had zero connection to Nicole Harris.
At this moment, Detective Flavel has way more questions than he has answers.
She really didn't know anything about what the letter stated. Our priority at the time was who's threatening Grace and her family, and then who has murdered someone to carry out their threat.
She denies any knowledge of enemies, denies any knowledge of Nicole Harris. She does seem to be generally shocked that this has happened.
We got to look at this a different way, man. We're thinking way too big. So we've got to back up, and we did. We let our work lead us in the right direction.
I need to know where the other part of it is and what went on and why, so I can come to a closure and put her to rest. Why did they take my daughter's life like that? If you know where the other part of her body is, would you please just show the police?
The media helped us in a way. It got the news out there.
The entire city of Greenville is placed on edge because we have a dismembered body, a killer on the loose. It is a topic of conversation in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah, it wasn't long after our uniform dispatch received a call from the Nicholtown area.
You have a call on line 1.
Thank you. Flavel.
A resident there had called in a foul odor in the neighborhood, said, hey, y'all might want to come out here.
When they get out of the car, they're overcome by the smell of death. When you're a policeman, you never, ever forget the smell of death.
Behind the house, we find a big, like, storage container. That's where the smell is coming from. The odor was unbearable, disgusting to say the least.
They removed the lid, and up to the top of the lid, it is a blood and flesh soup. Maybe they have just found Nicole Harris.
It was disgusting. We're trying to come up with a game plan on how are we going to attack this container because it's probably, 80% liquid at this time.
Let's get this area roped off and get a report on the house.
Can I help you with something?
As they are examining this pile of goop in this drum, the homeowner arrives, a woman, and says, "What are you doing?"
Is that your container?
Well, it's behind my house, ain't it?
He looks at her and says in his own head, "Did you kill Nicole Harris? Or did someone in your house do it?"
All right, ma'am, I need you to step back. This is an active crime scene.
So, y'all are investigating the death of a pig?
Like, what? She said we had a pig picking and we cleaned the pig and I just put it in that container.
She has an explanation for this barrel and contents that might be true. It also might not be.
We immediately stopped what we were doing. We called for our forensics division.
They can conduct an immediate test on the blood and tell you human or animal on the spot.
Yeah, this is definitely a pig.
All right, let's pack it up.
Dead ends are common in homicide investigations. Something looks so promising, and it falls apart. It goes through your fingers like sand.
It's really disappointing, but you never quit. You've still got a family that needs answers.
We need a new step. There was that email that was left on the threatening note. Flavel submitted it when he found it, and now computer forensics has a result.
Call you back.
I hear you got something for me.
Yeah, there might be something.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They inform him a public use computer in a library was used to send the email.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
What's your name?
Jessica?
Jessica, my name's Detective Flavel. I need to know if I can obtain some security footage of the library for a case that I'm working on.
Oh, yeah.
Can you help me obtain that?
Yeah, I can help you with that. Good. Mandy, can you cover the desk for me for a minute? Of course. Follow me.
There is a God, because public libraries have surveillance cameras.
Okay, here is the tape you were asking about.
Not only did it give us the address, but it gave us the date and time that this email address was checked.
He goes and he sees footage, and he sees an African-American couple, man and woman, using the computer. The man is not anyone that Flavel has ever seen, and the woman that's with him is not Grace Davis.
What struck me is he was wearing gloves. He's inside the library, but he's got on these big, thick gloves.
He doesn't want to leave fingerprints on the keys, as if that matters. He's using a computer that has its own fingerprint. So he's typing this email. On April the 6th, the day before the body parts are found. Now we're getting somewhere. So who are these people?
Getting actual video of the suspects in the library at that date and time gave us a lot of momentum in our case.
So now it's time to bring Grace Davis in for another interview and confront her with this video.
Grace, I need you to start being honest with me.
Flavel explains that this is not going to go away. I'm not going to go away. And we're going to get to the bottom of this.
And I said, hey, do you recognize these people? Tell me what's going on.
Okay, look, I know him and his wife, but I don't talk to them anymore.
Who is he?
And she cracks. She says, the people on this tape are Carmen and Clarence Jenkins.
We used to live together and we used to date.
All three of you?
I got together with them and we all fell in love. I had a sexual relationship with Clarence Jenkins. I also had a sexual relationship with Carmen Jenkins. Okay. You started talking about a triangle situation where everybody's in love with everybody else. Things can get enormously complicated.
It was good for a while until Clarence started being all controlling.
She said he's real controlling and they can't leave the house.
She says, then I found out that Clarence was abusive. So Clarence's verbal abuse and weirdness caused Miss Davis to come to her senses to some degree and to leave these people.
I just knew I had to get out of there.
So she makes a decision to leave. And she leaves, literally walks away.
She left on the 16th of March. April the 6th, just a few weeks later, body parts and threats show up. That's remarkable.
So now, who's Carmen Clarence? How are you involved in this? So we made an attempt to talk to Carmen and Clarence Jenkins to find out what was actually going on.
Carmen Jenkins?
Yes.
Ma'am, we need to speak with you about a case we're investigating. Is your husband home right now?
This really isn't a good time.
She immediately says that they're busy right now, but they will come down to the police station later in the day to discuss it with them, her and Clarence.
So we left. But we had a team of investigators out there and we did surveillance.
Minutes after Flavel leaves, their surveillance team reports that Carmen and Clarence are carrying black trash bags from their trailer to a dumpster.
Detective Garrison was watching through binoculars and the trash bags got blue pull strings.
The very same type that we found with the mutilated body parts. Flavel and his partner return to the dumpster near the property and look in the bags that they threw away.
There were 2 or 3 empty bleach bottles, ammonia bottles, carpet cleaning solutions, of course indicative of somebody cleaning something up.
Whatever happened to Nicole Harris probably happened to her in that trailer. Detective Flavel's experience tells him that that crime scene is that trailer. He needs a warrant. He can't get it based on cleaning supplies. Throwing those away isn't against the law. He needs another way.
Flavel.
Flavel finds that they had just entered a traffic warrant for Clarence's arrest on his record.
That really was a lucky break for us, and it was fresh off the press.
There is Flavel's way in. They return with their search warrant in hand.
Police, open up.
They knock on the door, and Carmen answers it.
Ma'am, I have a warrant for Clarence Jenkins.
Well, he ain't here right now.
And Flavel looks at her and says, we're going to search the premise And if I find him in here, I'm going to charge you with harboring a fugitive. And she steps aside. They go in.
The house is disgusting. It is nasty. There's pots on the counter with fungus growing in them. Obviously, there was no bleach used and there was no carpet cleaner used to clean anything in the house. In the bathroom and the shower is like spray painted red. As I'm clearing the bathroom, you can see what I suspect to be blood spatter on the wall. Aiken goes to the left. He says, man, there's a hole.
Detective, I got something back here.
He notices a piece of drywall that's out of alignment with part of the wall. He shines a light in that crack, and who does he see?
Come out on your hands and knees. Keep your hands where I can see them.
And there's Clarence Jenkins hiding behind this piece of paneling.
Come out of there, Clarence. You're under arrest.
All right, I'll take him in. She's going to be charged with harboring a fugitive.
Copy that.
Let's go.
Now that Detective Flavel has seen apparent evidence of a murder, he's granted a second warrant to search for evidence of death in this trailer.
Once we did that search warrant, forensics came out. We told them what we observed. Then they go in, start processing.
We were looking specifically for items that would connect the victim to the trailer and any potential evidence of foul play.
Get those light for me, will you? That's positive for blood.
When you look into the bathroom, you could see the wallpaper was gone. Inside of the shower stall was painted, the floor was painted.
They're trying to cover up blood. They missed a number of places, which you can see blood spatter on the walls, blood spatter on the sink area, staining everywhere.
I go to the back bedroom.
Found these and that.
There were knives, swords, handcuffs in the back bedroom. We knew we had something with the knives.
Found something here.
I'd found a clipboard, and in that clipboard were typed letters addressed to the same individuals where the body parts were sent.
This is a filthy trailer filled with all sorts of horrible evidence. So this is all adding up to the scene of the death of Nicole Harris. But why did Nicole Harris die? Why was she murdered and dismembered, for heaven's sake? And how does it connect to Miss Davis and the Jenkins? That's what they don't know.
So Clarence was eventually transported down to the law enforcement center where I went and interviewed him.
Look, Clarence, we know you're involved. We found the letters, we found blood, and we even found the trash bags.
It wasn't me.
We had evidence that she died there, but it just still really didn't answer all the questions that needed to be answered.
It is a bizarre circumstance in every possible way. A three-person love triangle, a dismemberment homicide, a filthy trailer filled with overwhelming evidence. You take the time to spray paint a bathroom, you don't throw away the drafts of the threatening note. Absolutely ridiculous. It's like children trying to do this. Not the sharpest knives in the drawer, but killers tend not to be.
I want a lawyer.
We still didn't have Nicole. We had Nicole's hands and feet. but we still hadn't found the body. So, we really didn't have any information to give the family.
I have faith in God, and I know that it was going to get solved, but it was just devastating.
We had a kind of like vigil, but the thing was, we still was, still going through. The time for me, it was real hard.
So Flavel is organizing the case as best he can so they can proceed to trial. During this process, a year goes by, and Carmen decides she wants to talk. She says, I want to tell you what happened.
The prosecutor called and wanted us to come up for a meeting with Carmen and her attorneys.
Flavel is elated.
We're at the solicitor's office with her attorneys, the prosecutors, and finally she's giving us her confession.
And the conversation begins. So the question Flavel has is simple. What happened inside that trailer, Carmen? What happened to Nicole Harris? Carmen sits down with Detective Flavel. Flavel says, I want you to tell me the entire story. How did all this unfold?
That interview is probably one of the coldest interviews I've ever done. She was just as cold as she could be.
She says that Clarence Jenkins had met Grace Davis on the street and brought her home with him.
When Grace left her ex-husband, she ended up in a women's shelter for a little while. So Clarence offered for Grace to move in with him and his wife.
Davis moved into their trailer and became sexually involved with both of them. They were all happily together. So happily, they had considered trying to get married as a threesome to somehow make this official.
So what went wrong?
Things got heated between Clarence and Grace.
I guess the dynamic of it was such that he was definitely the one in control, and his personality wasn't anything she planned to deal with on a long-term basis.
Clarence was verbally abusive, and it upset Grace Davis, and she decided to leave them.
So when Grace left to make a better life for herself, they're like, it's the three of us or none of us.
Clarence was wild. No one leaves him. He's going to get her back at any cost. Clarence goes to labor finders. He notices Nicole Harris.
Excuse me, miss.
Yes, do I know you?
I need you to come with me.
He convinces her he's a policeman. He puts her in his car and he drives her to their trailer.
I thought we were going to the station.
Give me your hands. Come on.
Carmen says he shows up with Nicole, and she's in handcuffs, and he takes her straight to this back room.
Please, let me go.
Stop that.
The first plan Clarence had was to use Nicole Harris to make threats. He handcuffs her to a chair. He makes her make that phone call to Sue Bostic.
You tell Grace she needs to get her ass back here.
Although she didn't follow the script and didn't say much, which is why Bostic only heard screaming and then the line went dead.
And then what happened?
The threats weren't working, so Clarence came up with another idea.
And then Clarence just comes up to Carmen and says, hey, you gotta kill that girl.
Here. Get on with it.
You don't have to do this. Please.
Go on now, get on with it.
It's a monstrous idea. Clarence Jenkins is willing to use the death of a perfect stranger as a device to regain the love and admiration of another female. How sick is that? How sick can you be? And Carmen is a participant in this crime.
Clarence tells her to use a piece of coaxial cable and strangle her. Carmen goes in there, puts the coaxial around Nicole's neck, and tries to strangle her.
But I wasn't strong enough, so Clarence did it.
I can't do it.
Get out the way.
So Clarence takes over and kills her by strangling her to death.
They then take her and drag her into the front bathroom.
Then he takes a machete and cuts off her feet and her hands with powerful blows with a very long, sharp blade.
They get like some garden shears and he cuts the toes off.
Then he bags these parts in 2 different bags. He writes the threatening letters. That Clarence Jenkins would devise such a plan is beyond monstrous. If I was so empowered, I would sit Clarence down and I would say, Clarence, I'm going to stuff you into a food processor and press liquefy, and then I'm going to pour you down a toilet, because that is where you belong.
I need to know where the rest of McCall's body is.
Carmen gave us the location that they actually dumped McCall Harris's body. It was out in a vacant field, and they actually poured gas on it and tried to burn it.
Good heavens. For what? The love and admiration of a female. Apparently so.
She had no emotion. I mean, the whole time it was like really eerie. We called Upstate Search and Rescue and they brought their dogs out.
We were unfortunate that most of that area had been cut sometime in that 1.5 years, but all in all, we did collect a number of bones, and there were 8 or 10 different items of evidence that we collected. One of those items of evidence being a pair of garden loppers.
Clarence was tried for murder. He was convicted and he was given life without parole. Carmen was originally sentenced to 50 years, and after her testimony, that sentence was reduced to 40. You just killed someone just to play some silly game. So, what's enough?
You always think of dangerous people as having like lots of weapons, but really the most dangerous people that exist are those without empathy. And clearly, Carmen and Clarence had no empathy for McCall Harris.
I just wanted the world to know that the tragedy that happened is something you never want to go through. My mother would want this story to be told.
I got her ashes and everything, and I keep them close to me. but I'm still dealing with it. She was a wonderful person. She didn't deserve to go like this.
Detective Flavel represents yet another American detective whose experience, whose perseverance unraveled this case and punished the people involved. He's to be admired for that, along with every other American detective who does the same thing every day and every night.